Exploragonians. Wow, you went really low there. That's nice.
Exploragonians. Yeah, go.
Exploragonians.
Oh, I guess I could have like kept the beat
No,
going.
there's absolutely no. You're dancing.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, kids, I'm driving this boat. I'm Katie.
I'm Jordan.
Welcome to Exploragonians, a travel podcast.
I think like travel stories. Yeah. I mean, we do traveling things in this podcast.
I do think you're trying to push that. Travel stories. A
Yeah.
travel story podcast.
Isn't that nice? Once upon a time, there was a man and a woman who, when they first started traveling, was a boy and a girl. And before that, they were just a twinkle in Rick Steves' little eye.
And now they're an elderly couple.
Wow.
Where's my cane? Katie.
So,
No, so what? Jordan's sick.
yeah, so I am sick. So it's funny that this is like a travel podcast because we were given
Hilarious.
a pretty good travel opportunity kind of landed in our laps, and all I did about it was stress for about a week, and stress so much that I think it decreased my immune system and made me get sick.
So what did you learn from that experience?
I learned that maybe if we have the opportunity, money, and time to travel, maybe we should just do it, because I get so neurotic about getting, quote unquote, the best possible deal for like flights and hotels and X, Y, and Z, A, B, C, Alpha, Omega, that I get obsessive. So what happened is that I love in my spare time to check out the Hamilton lottery for that crazy Broadway musical, Hamilton, starring,
Why are we doing a plug for Hamilton?
because they deserve it.
Injustice.
Lin-
This is not.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's hurting for money, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we won tickets, but we won tickets to Hamilton in Cleveland, which
And I also want to share that this is our second time winning tickets.
this is our second time winning tickets in like 4 months.
And then not being able to go.
The first
Not seizing the opportunity to go.
The first time we won tickets for Eugene, which is way closer than Cleveland. Eugene is like a 2.5 hour drive for us from here. Cleveland is more than a 2.5 hour drive for us from here. Cleveland, Ohio, not Cleveland, I don't know, Washington. That
There's
probably
probably another Cleveland.
probably not. Ew, Cleveland? Cleveland rocks! So I just obsessed about getting tickets, and I was like, 10 days out, you know the airlines don't like that. These are really high prices. And then I was upset about budget travel and everything that comes along with like a budget airline. And then I think about 6 days into just fretting, I was like, oh, I don't feel so good.
Is this like a confession?
This is definitely a confession. This is a
feels
confession
like,
to you.
Like you have to be honest with the listeners.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what's going on.
This is what's going on. And it's like, I think the moral of the story is, yeah, it's seizing an opportunity. But on the other side of that, we didn't have to go to Cleveland. It's an excuse to go to Cleveland. We did not take it because Hamilton was today.
So it's fitting that we are going to record this.
Yeah.
Happy almost Hamilton in Cleveland.
I think also what it is like, it's one of the few times in our journeys, our relationship, that we haven't seized on a very clear opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was causing a lot of grief with myself.
That didn't seem
It didn't seem very,
fiscally responsible.
well, it wasn't that necessarily, but it didn't seem like I felt like it was going against the character of our relationship. Like, we try to take advantage of things. We try to go see it all, do it all.
You know, but it's also okay to say no, or to say no thank you. And just to share with the group, I was stoked about going to Cleveland. I've never been, and I want to go. But it was more expensive to fly to Cleveland than it was to New York City. And that was tough. It was rough and tough.
Well, it was tough to square that idea of being like, oh, well, at what point is it going to be as expensive, if not cheaper, to fly to New York City to just go buy tickets to Hamilton? And Right, I think we probably would have come out ahead if we just gone to Cleveland. But
Just barely.
you live, you learn, you don't go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I know. All right. Sorry, Ohio.
So,
Next time.
this episode, we're not talking about Ohio. We're not talking about Cleveland at all. We've never been.
We're talking about Oregon and fancy schmancy. You've probably heard of it because it's so popular.
We're doing another episode about Tillamook.
Ha! We are talking about Bend, Oregon.
So, Bend is an interesting thing for me because anything east of Tillamook, Oregon, when I was growing up, might as well have just been Eastern Oregon. So I had this concept that Bend was Eastern Oregon forever. That's
Yeah.
just, I think even like the first time we went, I was like, gosh, Katie, we're all the way in Eastern Oregon.
I do think you said that. I
Yeah,
do
sure.
think it was all about, and I was like, yeah, sure.
You just kind of like,
But even though, yeah, I know it's not.
you just like side eye me and be like, this is the guy I chose. This guy.
That's right.
So you have a much deeper relationship with Bend than I do. Like, I think you were kind of bringing me into your world with us checking out Bend.
Right. I have been to Bend numerous times. Like growing up, I had a cousin Jessica.
Hear that, Jess?
Jessica's family had a home there, a second home. And so we would go and stay with them occasionally. But also my dad lived in Bend as a ski bum and was quote unquote going to college. And so he has had a lot of fun memories and loved to go to Bend, visit Bend. He now despises going to Bend because it has changed so much. And I think he doesn't really recognize it. There's been a lot of development since he was there. But I mean, we still like it.
Was it like the Yuppie invasion that changed it for him? Because when he went, it was probably like an industrial-ish town with like lumber, things like that.
Right. Kind of that environment plus hippie plus... I just think, yeah, it was a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely more yuppie for sure.
Because he was there in, what, the 70s?
Sure.
And so, from then until now, I mean, people... I think outdoor recreation has become a little more accessible. It's more of a leisure class type thing.
That's true. But I mean, even when we went, because we would go skiing over there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, skiing's probably always been expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a pretty privileged thing to do. But I mean, I think that they all own skis or you go cross country skiing. And we wouldn't normally rent our stuff.
Did you own skis?
I didn't, but I think my dad did. Because again, like if you're skiing all the time, and it's just like if you're doing any sport all the time, you're generally gonna like own your equipment.
Just like bowling. But I never bought my own bowling shoes. I just rented them every single time.
My mom definitely had bowling equipment like in the closet growing up. And I was like, what is this? Like, why is there a bowling ball in here? And and renting our ski equipment at like, I don't know. I think it's called like the Powder House or something like that.
No free pub, man.
Okay, well, it's fine because I can't remember the name. Anyway, whatever.
So, we can't start at the Bend. We have to start at the Bend Ginning.
Are these just Bend puns?
Yeah, no, these are great jokes.
Okay, wait, I got one.
Okay.
I don't got one.
Why'd the Bend cross the road?
To get to the other
Bend? Just around the river bends.
Na, na, na.
I almost thought you were going to go into like some Frozen 2, like,
No.
So I have some Bend facts I'd like to throw your way.
Great.
The first is that the city was incorporated in 1905. Isn't that great?
When was Oregon incorporated?
It doesn't matter. It wasn't incorporated. It's not a city. It also got its name because apparently the white settlers forded Deschutes at quote-unquote the Farewell Bend.
What?
I don't know. And then the first white folk to hang out, allegedly, came across like in winter 1824 when a fur trapping party, like quote unquote, discovered it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? I feel like that's pretty late in the game for something to be like uncovered by sticky colonial hands.
Well, if you're not coming over this far.
Yeah. And it is the high desert.
Are these all my facts?
Those are your 3 facts for the day.
Not too many.
Also, Is there a dispensary called High Desert? Because don't you think there has to be?
Should we make it?
Well, it probably exists, don't you think? High Desert? It's the most obvious dispensary name that you could possibly have in Bend.
That's a pretty good one.
Okay, so maybe we'll go start a dispensary.
Or if you steal our idea.
We'll sue you. We'll see you in court. Good day, sir.
No. Just share.
Share.
All right, back to. So yes, I grew up going to Bend. And you didn't.
So what was that like going to Bend and like you were obviously visiting family, doing whatever? Like what would you do?
I was going to say, so like our route, we'd cruise through Salem, stop and pee at the McDonald's, and then keep going. I think it was like a 4-hour trip. So it was always like, okay, we're probably going to stop in Sisters. Like there was
You had a route.
There was a very familiar route. And I mean, yeah, we probably went at least once a year. I mean, sometimes more. Like, and then I think when I got my license and had more freedom, I think I also drove, like, you know, took myself over there. Eventually, Jessica's grandpa ended up living in that house. And so I'd visit him, or like he would let me stay sometimes. And yeah, Bend.
Wasn't there some story of like you were like the only one who could drive, or you wanted to drive and so you're hitting up the roundabouts or something?
Oh God, you know, Katie loves an adventure. So I think that I had asked my aunt and uncle to I don't know, we need like to phone a friend here. There was something. The cousins and I wanted to go to town. I probably wanted to go to town. I wanted to go shopping. Bend had fancy shops compared to our little town. And so I was all about like, let's go to fill in the blank. I don't know. Probably American Eagle or something like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean something super exotic. And so I think that it was like snowing. Somehow I ended up driving their car, but I'm like, did I have my license?
Did you not? Were you 14? Just
Yeah,
going
it's
for
like maybe I had my permit, but maybe I did have my license. I love telling a story. Long story short, I was driving. I don't know how a roundabout works. Bend has roundabouts. I didn't know that. I just remember driving around and around in the roundabout because I kept taking the wrong exit, as I would call it. My cousin would be like, oh, take a left up here. And I was like, what do you mean left? We're like in a circle, right?
That circle doesn't have a left. So do you think if nothing had intervened, you'd still be in that roundabout right now?
I think so.
Driving in circles? So you were just like kind of going around the carousel being like, I don't know how to get out of here?
Well, or I would take what I thought that they were saying, like take a left, but I would not do that. And so then we were on like the wrong street. And so I was like, I don't understand what you guys are saying. Anywho.
Dang.
Is this a learning disability? Probably. But that's okay. So
we overcome it.
Bend, roundabouts. It was snowing. I was driving. Yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of like kind of growing up in Bend, or that it was a part of my youth.
Ooh. So yeah.
Also that house was the first place I was ever at that I was like, what's a laundry chute? And that like blew my mind.
You kind of want to get in it, crawl around.
Yeah.
Does Home Alone have a laundry chute?
But maybe their other house had a laundry chute. I don't know. Laundry chutes.
So Bend, you just mentioned it was like snowing, all that kind of stuff. So Bend is in the high desert, which is a strange classification. I mean, high desert just means it's high elevation. Bend is kind of nestled on the east side of the Cascade Mountains, and it's kind of on the very edge of what becomes the high desert of like southeastern-ish portion of Oregon. And so Bend is pretty much like in the center of Oregon. And because of that high elevation, it does have like a pretty good climate year round. Mm-hmm. Like it experiences all 4 seasons pretty well. I think you and I, as a couple, have really only experienced winter there.
You don't think we went there during the summer?
We have gone during summer-ish time, but like it's never been very long. Like I think one time we were there to go get hay in Christmas Valley, which I believe is the center of Oregon. There's nothing around. Anyway.
See, I think Bend's kind of a cowboy town, or it was. Yeah. It's more like Sisters. I don't know.
Sisters is definitely a cowboy town. Sisters is like you got to put on your spurs and go walk into the saloon.
Yeah.
Well, Bend has just become more metropolitan because of it. So Bend has also it had the designation for a few years of being like the most moved to place, like I think in the United States, like per capita, like the amount of people moving into it. And so now I think the population of Bend is like around 100,000. And that still doesn't sound like a lot. Like, that is pretty small considering. But also, we live in a town of 5,000.
But then you're also like, if it's like a small, kind of like Oregon, where we are tiny, got really popular, and the roads are like filling up. And so, right, even though 100,000 isn't that much, but in that space, I mean, I don't know, it feels like a lot of people to me.
Right. So Bend has like a few different types of areas that you can go around. Like one in that I think that we have gone to the most is just the downtown area of Bend. I think we've experienced most of our time there. We usually stay in that area because we always seem to stay at McMiniman's Old St. Francis School.
Oh, all about the free pub. You heard it.
I will free pub McMiniman's all day long.
Oh, God, can they sponsor? That'd be nice.
Hey, McMiniman's, if you're listening, can I get some Cajun tots, please?
Yeah. So we have we're all about that downtown Bend life.
Because I think when we first went to Bend the first time, I thought the coolest place was allegedly the Old Mill District. And what that means is that it's just where like kind of the bougier shops go, or like the more chainy national things. Like that's probably where you went to American Eagle.
Oh, that's definitely where I went to American Eagle. And I loved the Old Mill, but I would never tell you that.
Why do you love the Old Mill District? I think it's the thing that makes your dad the angriest.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. No, it's not where I naturally gravitate anymore. But again, it's like when I was younger, what I wanted more than anything in life was for Tillamook to have a strip mall. Some sort of like, get some chains in there. That's all I wanted. But now I'm like, ooh, no. Anyway, see? Times have changed.
So that first trip that we took to Bend as a couple, like, we did go to the Old Mill District. We went and had, like, a dinner at one of those restaurants. But also we went there because while we were staying there, the Pokemon X and Y games came out. So we went to GameStop over in Old Mill District, and I got me a Pokemon game. And I was so embarrassed to be like, hey, Katie, so I know that we're, like, on this, like, kind of date thing. We're, like, on a little trip. But I really need to go to the video game store pronto. Like, it couldn't wait. I don't even think I brought my Game Boy, so I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, I don't know what you were doing either. Like, it's interesting to reflect on.
Well,
like why was that top priority? Or was like, were they only selling a limited amount?
No.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Okay, so yeah, we definitely did that. I definitely remember. But where was this in the timeline of when we went?
So we had gone to outdoor schools. This is within the first year of us being together, first calendar year even.
Right, so this is after. It was like we're between, like before camp, we went to California, and you're saying it's that year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we went and had literally the worst experience of our entire lives at outdoor school, a place that was a safe haven of beauty and friendship and teaching about empathy and caring about others. And all of the people we thought were friends were just horrendous to us. And I wanted to burn the whole place to the ground with a Molotov cocktail.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's real talk.
Well, I also had the worst dye job of my life. Because you know what? I never get my hair done locally. But this time I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And it was like...
You said, I can... The hairdresser was like, I can make your hair lavender.
Oh, yeah. It was like kind of like a gross purple. I'm trying to think of...
Gurple.
Like, what's that McDonald's purple character?
Grimace! You had Grimace hair!
Yeah, it was like Grimace, but even kind of like worse.
It was grungy, unclean Grimace. So Grimace. It was Grimace.
There we go. That was me.
Also, if you guys can hear that ambient noise in the background, that's rain.
I know, it's been nice, but it's kind of stormy, rainy out.
Yeah. So anyway, you still had that hairstyle still, but it like faded to kind of a spooky light purple. Like it wasn't quite platinum, wasn't back to your normal blonde. It was the ghost of Grimace.
This is where we were staying. We weren't even staying in Bend this time.
We were staying in Sun River.
Wow.
Because at this camp, my senior counselor, so like my underling, he had a timeshare, or his family had a timeshare. It was very confusing. But he had like a date that had fallen out. And so he's like, guys, would you like to use this?
Right. We didn't plan on going. He was just like, hey, do you want this? It's like next weekend or whatever.
And we're like, yeah,
sure.
Please. Yeah, sure. Cool. So went and stayed there, went and did a bunch of stuff in Bend. But while we were there that first time, like Bend Film Festival was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking back, like I found like the itinerary for that. And Bend Film Festival is like super cool. Like it like takes over like I don't know, I'm assuming every single like movie house, cinema, like in the entirety of Bend. Like it is so cool. Like they have them at like McMiniman's Old St. Francis School because they have a theater.
The first time I went to that was with my aunt and cousin.
Oh, so
and
you've
we went,
gone.
And we went and saw once.
Wait, that came to the Bend Film Festival?
Well, I don't know if it was at the film festival, but I went to the McMiniman's theater because I was like, "What's happening?" And there's like couches everywhere, and like I'd never been to one of those.
So I don't think you went to the film festival.
Why not?
I don't know. Something tells me that once wouldn't go to the Bend Film Festival.
From like a long time ago, before it was mainstream. No, I think it was a mainstream movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah, maybe you saw it there, but we went and
we're
saw.
not about the facts here, people.
We're
Who
just
knows?
we're about stories. This story could be fiction. So we ended up going to one. I think we stumbled upon it. Like we had no like itinerary for where to go, what to see. I don't even know why we went to this one. It might just be what was playing.
I think it was what was playing at that moment. Like,
but we saw a double feature because I think most of them were double features. So we went to a documentary section. And so we saw the movie or the documentary short film, Tiny, a story about living small. And
and that was pretty wild because tiny houses were not blowing up like they are now.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. But it was like they followed like 3 different people. And one was like trying to do it all like himself and had like no skills. And I think it went south for them pretty fast. But also it was cool because at the film festival, like, depending on which one you went to, yada, 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 they would have like a Q&A afterwards, very film festival style. And so I think some of the filmmakers were there, which is pretty cool. And the second one we saw, because again, double feature, was 28 Feet, Life on a Little Wooden Boat.
You know, I don't remember that.
I think it was like a woman who was just living on a boat, and I think there was like a cat involved.
What?
You know, at that time, we were just like smitten in love, trying to rebuild ourselves after the worst experience at outdoor school ever.
Okay, so yeah, because I definitely remember the first movie, but I do not remember Boat Time.
See, I remember Boat Time more than the house one.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see. All right.
What else do you remember about Ben from that first time together?
Well, I do remember, I think we went to a Thai restaurant.
Well, yeah, because we were all about the Thai restaurants at that point.
We had not been to Thailand yet, and I remember going to that restaurant. Maybe there was like cushions that we sat on.
Yeah, and the table was like really low, kind of like to shove ourselves under there. I think the design was more Japanese than Thai. I don't know.
Well, you know. And then, yeah, I do remember being at that other restaurant, sitting outside.
It was so cold, but it was nice because it had the little heaters.
And yeah, it's interesting that there was like film festival going on because both of those restaurants, like I do not remember them being very busy, but maybe that one restaurant was really busy and that's why we sat outside.
Maybe. Or we're just like, let's do this.
Well, you know, who knows?
We thought about one day there'll be a global pandemic and this will be where we have to eat, so let's get ready now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Bend was so difficult to navigate because I had some classic posts that I looked back on, and it was like, here are my takeaways from Bend so far. 1, it smells delicious, which I don't know what I'm referencing there. Coffee? Food?
Maybe just an active downtown.
Yeah, because that smells good. Smell of industry. For some reason, I had mentioned that everything had a vanity plate. That was apparently very moving to 2013 era Jordan.
Well, maybe it was also trendy in that moment. Like,
yeah, everyone loves it. No, vanity plates are always trendy. And then the third one was I had said that navigating Bend was more difficult than navigating Los Angeles. Because I think we kept getting lost. We were like orbiting downtown. I don't think we were using Google Maps or anything. And we were just like, oh, wait, Division, wait. And then there was like Ball or Wall or some street like that. We just kept finding it. I think we passed like 12 Dutch Bros on like a single street.
Okay, well, I do think that Bend, because like the roundabouts, I mean, I do think it's expansive. Like, if you don't know, and you would think that I would know, but I don't know. And that probably part of the reason we stay in the downtown and love the downtown is because we can navigate the downtown. But once you leave the downtown,
where are we?
You know, where it's like, are we headed towards Mount Bachelor? Are we headed towards wherever the frick?
Wherever the frick.
I've never said wherever the frick. That was so family friendly. Wherever we're staying. Where are we staying?
We're always staying at the old St. Francis School.
No.
Oh, are you talking about Sun River?
Sun River.
Fun River. Anyway.
Okay, Really quick side note about that. When we stayed there and they had tennis courts and we're like, oh yeah, I've never played tennis, but we should go play tennis.
Mhm.
So then we attempted to do that. And I feel like we couldn't hit the ball back and forth, like not once.
No, couldn't volley it or whatever.
It was was it because we were cold? Like
I remember doing it in my pea coat, which is nothing if not something that you'd wear for athletics. Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know what the issue was. I
I-
find it hard to believe that you and I could not hit the ball back and forth.
Well, let's try it again because I believe that is accurate and we are incapable of playing tennis.
Not me. I don't believe it.
Good. Let's get better.
Let's get it.
So we also, when we were in Bend, like we made a friend, which we tend to do.
At the drive-thru?
We went to Human Bean, which again, no free pub, but we went there on a whim.
Okay, drive-thru coffee shop. For those that don't know.
We talked to this chick for, I don't know, 20 minutes.
And this is probably like the start of you and I just lingering at coffee shops. Unless we'd been already doing that. I don't know.
You know, we always tend to linger. Hey, you want to talk to us?
Mm-hmm. Or maybe they just want to talk to us.
But
and we're like, all right.
I feel like this girl gave us like a bunch of gummy worms
Mhm.
on our coffee.
She did.
And then I think she also wrote her phone number on our coffee because she
Mhm.
wanted to hang out later.
You're reflecting. That's kind of a...
Yeah. What did she want, Katie?
She just wanted to hang out later.
I'm kind of sad that we didn't.
See, this is the theme. You've missed opportunities.
She could have been our best friend.
That's true.
And likely we'll never see her again because we don't go to Human Bean.
But she's going to find this podcast and be like, I remember these two, and I remember the gummy worms.
And
Yeah, gummy worms on coffee. It was funky.
time traveling a little bit behind that first time. I'd like to time travel behind you. Time traveling before this episode of us going there as a couple. The December before we got together, I was minding my own business at home, and it's late,
Wow.
and I just keep getting phone calls from you. And I think I ignore the first one. Like, I think I'm milling about in my bedroom. I'm like working on something.
Wow, you look down. You're like, well, nah.
Well,
Pass.
I knew that you were like doing something. I don't know. So I get this really long voicemail, and it's my favorite voicemail I think you've ever sent me. You are buzzed, and
Strongly buzzed.
and your voice was in a very high register.
Jordan would play it randomly throughout like the past like decade, and I don't really want to imitate it.
Can you do it? Oh my gosh, it would make me so happy.
Why is your voice going low?
Because I'm becoming manlier, the testosterone.
Because I was like, Jordan, that's such a sweet voice message. And it's like, why aren't you answering? Anyway, I'm like, yeah, I'm not my normal register. I'm like way, way high.
I'm really a soprano.
Anyway,
So does that happen when you get really excited or some sort of intoxicant, or is it both?
I think it's just how I leave voicemails.
You just get really excited.
I'm like, hey,
Yeah, you are really good. Your audio abilities are.
that range
But then I did call you, and you were at a bar in Bend
with my cousin and my cousin's cousin.
my cousin and my cousin's cousin and my cousin's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And you're having a good time, and we talked for a while.
The same crew that was in the car when I was trying to do the roundabout.
Oh, stuck in the roundabout?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Same crew.
Oh, cool. And we had a good time. And then when we were there for our anniversary, our second time officially going to Bend. And I was
Whoa.
like, wait, this is the place you sent me that voicemail?
Oh yeah, and they were having trivia.
They had trivia night. So we went in and we did terribly.
It was our first time ever doing trivia.
Yeah.
It was very eye-opening.
I mean, I've done trivia.
Oh,
you know,
excuse me. It was my first time.
Not officially in a bar setting, though. I was like, at first. And it was just, we were a team of two. You know, the odds were stacked up.
Psh.
But you did do really well. We cleaned up on the elf round.
Oh, no one could even compete.
No one could touch us.
We know Elf real well.
And the other one that you killed on was...
Hold on, like Elf, the movie, Will Ferrell, Christmas. For people that like maybe don't know, but I assume everybody knows.
I
but-
was getting it confused with Lord of the Rings.
Mm.
I thought that was called Elf.
Mm.
You know, there's
Well,
elves
I mean,
in
like,
it.
if we're saying Elf, it could be like Elf culture.
Elfin John. Oh, wow. I like to meet someone who shares my affinity with elf culture.
All right, see, that's what I'm talking about. No one could compete.
We just thought, this should be an elf podcast. What are we doing? We're wasting everybody's time.
Okay, so we did the Elf round, And then we got literally one other question right.
And it was all because of you.
Yeah, and you didn't believe me.
Because it wasn't going with the theme. It was like it was the first line of the movie. Name what movie this first line is from. And it was all like Goodfellas, Godfather, Reservoir Dogs. I mean,
all movies I had never heard of or seen.
And then this one line came up. I don't even remember what it is. We'd have to rewatch it.
I don't remember what it is either.
But you freaking look at me. What the frick?
Yeah.
And what do you say?
I don't know.
You say, it's Toy Story. And I was like, how is that Toy Story?
Which I think as a fellow classic Disney movie enthusiast, I thought you would have like picked up on it, but you didn't. And I think this was
the first rift.
The first time like that my intuition, like we learned that Katie knows.
Katie has like it's like super powered intuition. Like anytime if your gut's saying something, I'm like, not gonna question it. It's right. We're doing that.
So anyway.
And then we didn't go to Cleveland.
Well, we'll see how that pans out. But anyway, yes. So very exciting. It was Toy Story.
Yeah. And because Toy Story begins with like, it's like an Old West scene. We don't need to look it up. Katie has her phone in her hand. She's
fine. I
staring
won't
down.
look it up. Jordan, that's such a sweet.
What? It's such a sweet what movie?
But see, did I say voice message?
I think you said voice message. I could play it for you.
No.
Wait.
No.
Cool. Just kick the microphone. I'm angry at it.
No.
Technology. Record my voice on a...
Jordan couldn't find the voicemail.
And you look so satisfied with yourself about that.
I am. I'm pleased.
So, Bend. I think our most pivotal experience in Bend happened for our second wedding anniversary. We were finishing the McMiniman's Passport, which we would love to tell you all about what that is.
Yeah, we're waiting until we get a sponsorship. You said McMiniman's like
McMiniman
so many times.
Well, you said McDonald's, and you've talked about Grimace. I haven't talked about Mike McMiniman at all until right now.
Okay, let's go.
So when you finish this passport thing, you get... Each person who completes it gets 3 free hotel rooms, a bunch of, like, I think a concert ticket, a pair of concert tickets.
Just said that we
went
staying there.
to Bend. No, this is important because when we stayed there, we finished the passport and then we stayed for free because I was like, we could immediately redeem this. So I think we were going to stay for like 2 nights. And we're like, okay, cool, we got it.
Mm-hmm.
So we check in, everything's good. The weather's not great. There's packed snow.
But it snows in Bend. I mean, it's like, I feel fine about it. And
it was mid-December.
Right. And I think it's important to state that the McMinimans downtown,
It's in downtown.
It's in downtown, and it used to be an old Catholic school.
And that's why it's called Old St. Francis.
Great. Okay, so we're there, we stay, we're having a good time.
So we had gone on our anniversary. We went to ski on Mount Bachelor, which we'll do a whole episode dedicated to Mount Bachelor. How cool is that? Ooh, ski stories. We get back into Bend. We're walking around. It's like early afternoon. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And we're like walking into shops, as one does in downtown Bend. And they're like, oh, hey, just so you know, we're closing up in about 45 minutes, half hour. And we're like, what? It's like 4 p.m. What are you talking about? And they're like, oh, didn't you hear about the snowstorm? And we're like, oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh, it's got to be bad if Bend is closing down. Like, we were going around to restaurants. We're like, sorry, guys, we're closing up.
Mm-hmm.
None of this. Everything was shutting down early. And it is starting to snow. And we're like, well, okay, you guys. Like, I don't know what you're freaking out about.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's just like, oh, it snows in Bend, so what's the issue? And it was surreal for all these businesses to be like, no.
And we are from another part of Oregon where, we know how to, like, deal with rain, deal with floods. It had that vibe, like, floody Tillamook type.
Which is kind of comforting, am I right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely... Yeah, no, I was like, ooh, things are about to get cozy.
Yeah.
We end up going and, like, eating somewhere.
Maybe we should be, like, storm chasers.
I feel like we already kind of are.
Well, that's true.
Technically,
Okay.
I mean, the past couple episodes, we usually get involved in a storm in some way. Yellowstone, Manzanita, here.
All right.
So we're going around. It's snowing. Yeah, snow is falling.
This
It's
is
a
where we went to the
decent amount.
restaurant, right?
So yeah, like one of the only available restaurants was like, I don't know, it was like Lebanese or something. And so we ate there, and then we left. They're like, okay, have a good night, be safe. But nobody else was in this restaurant.
Oh. Okay. Oh, yeah.
And we're like, okay, well, you guys be safe too, I guess. I don't know what's going on. So we ended up going and having just like a chill night in the hotel because everything was closing. So the cool thing about McMenamins, they have bars and restaurants, and this one had the theater
And a pool.
a soaking pool. So it's not like Olympic size or anything, but this one has a bunch of cool like fountains going on. It has a hole in the ceiling, so it was snowing on us when we were in this hot soaking pool. But I was looking at some of the pictures of when we were in the soaking pool, and I have to say, Katie, you should have taken a more active role in how your husband looked, because I was looking at some of those pictures and I was like, who is that ugly man?
Jordan was a little mortified, but
I was not a little mortified. I was like, he needs something. He needs help.
He just needs love.
I had a man bun, which was not bad, but I was also clean shaven. So again, I had that like ugly woman look about me. And then, my hairline is going back a little bit, and my head's kind of weirdly shaped. So it's like kind of bulbous. And then my glasses didn't look very good. And I've got these red lips. They're very red. It always looks like I've just put on just a little bit of red lipstick.
I disagree.
I was mortified at looking at myself.
I thought you looked great.
I love you. That's so nice.
Let's move on.
Yeah, I should have either had some scruff with the man bun.
Okay, no.
Or scrapped it entirely way early.
Okay, so we're splashing around, we're whining and dining, we're having a good time.
I think we have hot buttered rum, which we don't like hot buttered rum. We like hot toddies. We don't like hot buttered rum.
What is it? I don't even remember.
It's hot buttered rum.
Oh, did we get it in the restaurant?
Yeah.
And they like
the restaurant.
The waitress was like, yeah, it's really good. And
the waitress is also 16, which was like, a red flag.
Yep.
We also, because we had nothing else to do, I think we hung out. We watched, Christmas with the Cranks. I mean, we were desperate for, something to go on. And then we watched,
Christmas with the Cranks?
Yeah.
I don't remember this at all.
We love a good Tim Allen movie.
No.
And then we watched Santa Claus 2.
Okay.
Anyway, so
blah. We had a rough night, obviously.
We wake up the next morning, pull the curtains, and the snow has creeped up the window. The snow is up halfway up the first window. It snowed an inch an hour for 15 hours. There was so much snow. I've never seen that much snow in my life. Bend was shut down.
It's a winter wonderland.
It was a winter wonderland, and it was the day we were checking out.
Did we go on a walk first?
We went on a walk to go to the soaking pool. So we put on our robes, as is common at McMenamins. So we put on our McMenamins robes, walked outside to go to the soaking pool in robes and in over a foot of snow.
Warm up.
Yeah. And we're like, oh, I guess we got to go.
Yeah, I've got to go check out now.
So we had ended up befriending.
Mm-hmm. I heard.
I'm clearly sick.
No.
We befriended who ended up being the manager of the hotel. And so we were like, well, Lacey, guess this is goodbye. And she's like, okay, guys, well, be safe. Because a local tire company in Tillamook had given us a pair of chains. And by a pair, a quartet.
Sure.
Had given us chains.
We had chains in the car.
And they were like, okay, if you need them, use them and then buy them. If you don't, just bring them back.
Right.
And I was like, babe, we're not paying for these chains. So I was like, we're not going to put them on.
I feel like there's a theme here.
Oh, there's definitely a theme. I have a lot of issues that I worked out in therapy or attempting to. So we pack up our room, get in our car.
In our car, another fun fact, the old car, the heater core was broken. I think as we've established on other podcasts. And so the heater didn't work when it was cold outside, but the heater worked when it was warm out.
So yeah, car was cold.
So it was hard to defrost the windows and some other things like that. So we're driving.
most of the snow had stopped, but I think flurries were still kind of falling.
Mm-hmm.
And we were driving. The roads were like just packed snow. I think snowplows were like attempting to like get through some of it, but it was dicey conditions.
I think we maybe made it like a mile.
Maybe. I kind of think we stopped at Les Schwab and we're like, hey, do you think our tires are good? And they're like, I don't know.
Right. I think it got pretty bad. And then we found out there was 2 avalanches, right? Over the pass. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but did we find that before or after we turned around?
I thought it was after.
I think we did not know about the avalanches until we turned around and decided to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I needed to be back to work at the newspaper because,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't take that much time off. So we turned around. We're like, Katie, we can't do this because you were driving. I wasn't going to touch that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, yeah, it doesn't feel great. So turned around, went back to the McMinimans.
Well, because, right. So going back to that, it's like, yeah, Bend, it snows. It's okay. Like, I feel comfortable driving in it. But then, yeah, it was just off enough.
Mm-hmm. I do think that you kind of slid a little bit. Like, there was definitely like, and this was like on straight stretches. We're like,
Right.
This doesn't feel
Right.
great.
Right. And we have like this mountain pass we got to go over. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. We went back.
Yeah.
We went crawling back.
And I do think I remember we just like brushed the snow off us, walked down, and so the corridor to get to the front office at McMinimans is like just a long hallway, and they can see you coming from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just walking up and being like, "Okay, I'm gonna ask Lacey if we can stay another night."
Mm-hmm.
So she was still there at the desk, and she was like, "Oh my god, you guys!" She's like, "You know what's happening? Everybody's canceled their rooms. Nobody's here. How about we have you stay for free tonight?" And let's upgrade your room.
Yeah, so that was surprising and exciting, and we ended up being in a room that had a double tub.
It was called the Altar Boys room because every room in McMinimans has a different theme. It was so sweet that Lacey would do that because obviously we'd built a relationship over the course of a few days and like chatted with her, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then these circumstances of like things got crazy. And there's like, you know what? Just stay, whatever. Oh, that was so nice. I still think that's super nice.
Yeah, well, we sent her a really fun, a picture of us in the tub.
And a thank you card
Thanks, Lacey.
that ended up staying up, pinned up at that McMinimans for several years after we left.
We know that because we went to check in later.
You mean a couple years later?
A couple years later, and they're like, "Oh my god, is this you guys?"
I'm like, yeah?
Well, there we are, naked in the tub.
Well, okay, they weren't nude pics that we were sending.
They were tasteful.
So they were tasteful nudes. So this room, it had 2 clawfoot tubs that were like, a foot apart. And so it was so luxurious. It was such a cool room. And it just felt so special to be there and like warm up. And you love a tub. And this is before I think I really realized how much you love a bath.
I think that's only increased. My love for baths have only gone up. Also, sitting on the toilet in that room, I just remember looking up. McMinimans usually has different quotes there. I mean, it's very, very artsy. And so, I look up, there's a quote on the wall, and then it says my uncle's name. And I'm like, oh. Anyway, so apparently my uncle was interviewed because he went to school there because he grew up in Bend. And so it just so happened that we stayed in the room that had the quote from him.
And I think it talked about how he got an F in religion class or something. And he's like, I got to try harder. That was pretty good. But that we also got room service to that room because they still staffed everybody. They didn't close everything down.
Right. So it was totally open, functioning. So it was great for us.
Yeah. I mean, it felt kind of like we were at some remote ski lodge almost.
Mm-hmm.
Not The Shining. It didn't feel like The Shining. But it was cool to just be like, oh, everything's shut down, Winter Wonderland. I think we tried to walk around town and things were just covered. You at one point jumped into the snow and made the thickest snow angel I've ever seen in my life.
Man, isn't that the only way to do it?
Well, ideally. And Ben just really changed that way. And it was really interesting. And I think we tried to go to Drake Park, which is the big park in just outside of downtown Bend. And we just attempted to walk around, see what we could see. I think there was nothing going on. So I think we ended up staying, seeing a movie we didn't care about seeing at the old St. Francis School. We're just I guess we could do this.
Mm-hmm.
and hit up the soaking pool a bunch because, again, nobody was there. It was nice. It felt like we had the whole place to ourselves.
I mean, I feel like we more or less did.
And I don't think we'll ever have that experience again.
I don't think so either.
And it was awesome.
And I think it changed our relationship forever with Bend.
I think it did too. How do you think it changed?
I just think that it was a more intimate look at Bend and especially the downtown. And then as things got plowed out and some businesses started to open again, I mean, it was like, I don't know, like trauma bonding.
It definitely felt that way. So before Bend completely closed down, you were like, Jordan, when I was in high school, I got the best pair of jeans of my entire life.
Oh my God.
And you're like, here it is. And we'd found it. And
Yeah.
so you went to the place where you got the best jeans you've ever had in your entire life.
It was the most expensive pair of jeans I'd ever had in my life either, because I didn't realize that a certain quality jean cost more money.
Were these the jeans that you blew out of?
I think that was my second pair.
Oh.
I think. Or maybe it was.
I don't know. It was the first time I ever saw your underwear because you sent a picture of it to me.
So I had these jeans.
Before we were dating. We were just friends. Here, Jordan. Here's some of my cheek and some of my underwear.
All right, it might have been those jeans.
Oops, my pants blew up.
These were like magic jeans that I feel like fit me really well. I loved them and I wore them a lot. And then when our friend's child was born and it was like her first birthday, I was there and then my pants
Exploded.
exploded.
Too much booty in the pants.
And then, yeah, I had to take a picture, obviously, to document.
And send it to your friend.
It's fine. Normalize it.
We went to this place and, you had really great customer service. And it was one of those, like, hip, trendy boutiques where they're like, oh, while you guys are shopping, do you want some beer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was good.
And so they definitely were like letting it flow because Bend is nothing if not one of the beer meccas of the Pacific Northwest. There are so many breweries in Bend. It is insane. I think there's like over 20.
Yeah, there's enough.
Never enough. Never. So we drank a decent amount of beer.
Yeah, okay. This is the hot tip. Do not be drinking beer and then going and trying on jeans.
What happens when you drink beer and try on jeans?
Is that when you sober up, then your jeans don't fit quite right. And maybe you were a little bloated from day drinking and shopping. Anyway, that's a live and learn, you guys.
I think you did contact them, and they let you exchange them, so you put them in the mail, and they sent a new pair. Mm-hmm. And then they ended up fitting.
Man.
Thank goodness.
Wow.
It was very cool to be at the jean place with you.
But did I live and learn? No, because I did something similar in
New York.
Okay, I think...
But you recently are able to fit in those jeans again.
It's true, and I was like, these haven't fit since New York, so I don't know what happened.
It's a miracle. So we've gone to Bend a few times after, but I think just that winter wonderland time was just my favorite. I mean, you and I aren't like huge beer drinkers, or at least I wasn't then. I think I can appreciate it a bit more now.
Right.
So I think that's something that we've never really done in Bend.
Right. Like, that's not the most appealing thing for us, but it is for a lot of people.
Because they have the ale trail. They have all these things to like advocate it, promote it.
Yeah. Good for them.
But yeah, I think when we, especially like snow days, besides like begrudgingly accepting the like free beer.
What? Oh, at the Jean.
Yeah, the Jean place. Yeah, I don't think we were like really interested in checking any of them out. But now I think some of the breweries that we enjoy the most are in Bend.
Well, that's also true.
And I'm like, dang, like it'd be fun to like when we go back.
And the kombucha place.
I know. They have some of our best breweries and best kombucheries.
Yeah, and coffee shops.
They have some very good coffee shops.
See, this is the issue. Is we all just keep talking up Bend. And
I know.
everyone's like, gotta go to Bend. And then Bend has 100,000 people. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a lot going on in Bend. There's a lot of love in Bend.
Another place we talked about moving to because that's how we roll.
Well, I do think the one issue about Bend is that, we did have some friends who went and stayed there for a long time, and he is black, and I think that he didn't have a great time.
I think that, maybe didn't feel as welcome. I mean, yeah.
But was that just the family? Was it something happened? Again,
I've read something else about some people that, because Bend was hip and trendy, and maybe they went to Bend to do some work, and had some like racist encounters. And so it's an unfortunate thing is that Bend maybe isn't as like progressive as we would want it to be.
I think Bend is at a weird intersection. It's a place where if you want kind of the amenities of a city life but don't want to live in Salem, Eugene, or Portland,
Right.
I mean, Bend is like the option.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a bigger conversation about some of the issues with the Pacific Northwest and being white-only states for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Oregon, in its constitution, was a white-only state until the year 2000, where finally they were like, yeah, we should probably strike this language from here.
Yeah, it's like disturbing. Like I feel like you and I just found that out not too long ago.
Well, with all the racial reckoning post George Floyd, I think that's when some of that like kind of came to light.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that is, I mean, again, it's one of the things that we benefit as being a pair of white people in this state, is that we're not going to experience any of that. And it sucks.
It does suck. And I think that just being aware of it is helpful, and being an ally and being watchful and calling people out on their bullshit, and that's talking about family members. It's talking about people that slide in racism and laugh it off, because you know what? It's not funny. And if we want to see a change, got to make a change. And even if it's uncomfortable, I mean, I'm talking to myself because I hate confrontation, and I just wish it wasn't even a conversation that needed to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well said. So we have gone to Bend a couple other times since this epic snow adventure. A couple of them they both were like one night affairs. Like the one was like Bend was our last night stop after our like 3-week Western States road trip that we did before your 30th birthday.
And we went spelunking.
We did that for my birthday. Not for your. We did not go spelunking. You
I
went
went spelunking, and
with
then
that
you...
boy, that Gemini boy.
Oh my god!
You guys went legit spelunking. You and I just went to the Newberry Volcanic National Monument.
Not just. We saw the bats.
No,
what?
We didn't.
We didn't see bats.
No, this is you and your other your summer flings, Katie.
All right, maybe I'm making this up. Maybe I've never seen bats.
Let's talk about you going spelunking.
I think there was a sign. Okay, I don't remember.
A sign that just said
cold.
"Go spelunk."
No, we had like a lantern. It was dark. And
As
cold.
caves tend to be.
That's where I'm at.
Oh, yeah. Okay, but so this Bend trip that you went on was important for our relationship because you were getting flirty with a boy, one of Jessica's friends.
Jessica.
God.
And with the cousin's cousin.
Man.
See, I know.
There's a theme here.
There is a theme here. Okay, yes. Whatever. I mean, what's there to say?
You had a hot summer fling with some boy.
Who was a Gemini, like Jordan, and the Gemini flaked out. He was non-committal.
Flaked out on what?
He was...
Flaked out on you?
He flaked out on me.
On a potential relationship?
Sure.
Where is he now?
Who cares?
In a garbage can? Because he's Oscar the Grouch?
Wow. Anyway, and so I had reservations with a potential relationship with Jordan because I had been around a Gemini man before who was like really fun to be around, but yeah, I couldn't commit. But I think because Jordan is so close to Cancer.
I'm on the cusp, baby.
Yeah, he's like, it's called the cusp of magic. And so there's something that...
Some people call it the cusp of magic. I don't really know if that's like a
legal term.
A legal term.
Anyway.
Yeah, I got that little bit of Cancer in me.
Yeah, this makes you sensitive.
Man,
you hold the space.
Wait, but you went spelunking? Like you had like all the equipment, got like
No,
roped down. Oh, you didn't?
I don't think so. I think we just walked in.
I think you just walk into a cave then.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that we had, propelled down, and I don't think so. I think we walked. Okay, we also need to phone a friend. Jessica, you want to weigh in?
How do we get into the cave? Do we go from the top or do we go from the side?
Because, yeah, it's like similar. Like you and I walked down into the cave.
Yeah,
I think there was bats. I swear.
Well, maybe you're thinking that there was a man named Bruce Wayne.
Maybe.
Who was dressed like a bat.
I think they were like, and watch out. Because it was like, don't touch the bats and don't if they're droppings.
There was also one, when we went to the Newberry one, they were like, you cannot have worn the shoes that you're wearing into any other cave in the world. Do not take them in here. You will kill all of our bats.
Yeah.
That was like a big thing. But I think we should save the Newberry volcanic thing for a future time, because that was when we went to Bend the most recent time, because we haven't been to Bend since before the pandemic.
I know.
The last time we went was for my 29th birthday.
We talked about going recently, but in the end, because this is a theme right now, we couldn't commit.
My travel abilities have atrophied. I can only podcast about traveling. I cannot travel.
That is not true.
I'm turning to stone.
All right.
So
Jordan's going through something.
For my 29th birthday, we did a one-day trip to Bend.
What?
Yes, we
One
woke
day?
up. We woke up on my birthday because they were so booked out, because my birthday is sometimes the first day of summer, sometimes the day before summer. Again,
Sucks.
it sucks. So yeah, it was so booked out because again, it was last minute. We're like,
Oh, we should go do something tomorrow.
and so they only had one night, and
We
so
should
we
plan your
went.
birthday now.
Yeah, okay. So maybe they'll have 2 rooms together. So we could only do one night. So we raced down there, woke up early on my birthday, and then just did a one-day thing. I think we finally went to Pilot Butte, which is within the city of Bend. It's this 500-year-old like cinder cone thing. No, 500 foot. It's not 500 years old. It's way older than that. So it's a 500-foot cinder cone. You can see it from all over in Bend. It's just this big mound-looking thing. Because
Right.
Bend is like super volcanic. There's a lot of geothermal activity going on out there,
Mm-hmm.
which is impressive, surprising.
This
Yeah.
is nice. I'm surprised this was our last trip there.
Yeah, because when we got up to Pilot Butte, it was just like a nice night. You could see the city, like the sun was going down. Sun's
Sun's
getting
getting low.
That's not how the line goes.
Sorry.
Sun's getting low and low and low.
Real.
Bruce.
The real.
Real.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a nice way. That was just a nice way to end that really quick trip to Bend. So obviously, there's a lot of things, a lot of outdoor recreational activities that we have not done around Bend. I think we could do a whole episode dedicated to like Smith Rock State Park, which is, several miles north of Bend. There's Mount Bachelor, which again, we said we'd do another one on. But I think the big thing that I have regrets on so far with Bend is that we really haven't done a lot of outdoor recreational activity in the mecca of outdoor recreational activity.
Well, not yet.
I feel like we could probably, I don't know, sup the Deschutes or kayak it or, whatever people swim in it,
Sure.
drink it,
Yeah.
drink the whole river.
Well, let's do it.
What have you done? Have you done any like recreational stuff besides skiing?
I mean, probably.
Okay.
Who knows? I mean, I just found out that we went for your 29th birthday.
We went all the way there? Yeah, because when we went back, we had the weirdest bonfire ever.
What? Oh, yeah. Okay.
What?
A different bonfire came up. I was like, okay, I remember we went down to that beach in Tierra del Mar, and there was just like this beautiful fireplace, but like, or not
A
fire,
fireplace?
a fire. Wow, bonfire,
Bong fire.
and there was nobody there.
Yeah, it was like this unattended fire, which you shouldn't do. It was also near some brush, and I was like, are we going to get jumped?
Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy.
That was great. And I think I had wood in my car because we were going to have a bonfire.
Right, and I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll just take this one.
That was great.
So anyway, Bend.
That was
Yeah.
the last trip.
I don't know. I think we should go. We should bike. We could sup. We could. I don't know. What do you want to do?
Well, like I said, like kayaking, hiking, like that sounds great.
I think what you want to do is you want to rock climb.
I do want to rock climb.
But that's not in Bend.
I think rock climbing Smith Rock would be very dangerous with my current skill level. I don't think that would do well.
But I'm like, oh, I feel like I could do it. And
That's great. That confidence.
oh yeah,
Do
I'm
it.
like, sure.
I'm not great with like belaying and rock climbing. I could boulder, which doesn't really help with like getting vertical, but I could go from left to right pretty well.
I just want to kick off the rock and like go down.
Okay,
That's
so
all.
we definitely need to belay then.
That's all I want to do.
Great.
That's my fave.
You need a good friend to do that with.
Okay.
Well, I know the moves to do that.
You are My best friend.
I love that. Thank you, baby.
You're my best friend.
Well, also in Bend, there is the amphitheater in town. And I think that would be cool to go see like a show there at the amphitheater.
Where?
Yeah. In Bend.
All right, people. Obviously, we're going to go back to Bend. We got so much. We've done so much to do.
We've done so
We've done so much.
I think a lot has happened to us versus we have done so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we were a victim of that snowstorm.
We enjoyed it. We danced in the rain.
There was no rain.
There was
it was
no
just
rain.
snow.
All right.
Cool,
I think
man.
this has been
Yummy.
This has been a TMI, you know.
That's because you blew out at Jeans and we took nudes and a double tub.
Right, it's fine.
I think
and we've promoted
McMenamins. Stop saying that name.
All right, we better get some tots out of this.
If I say it, it gives him power. So that is Bend. That is the relief of you listening to an hour of us recounting our experiences in Bend.
Bearing with us.
So, where do you want to go next?
I want to go back to Thailand.
No!
Yeah, it's part 2, people, of Mount Intanon.
Doi Intanon.
Sure.
What are we going to talk about in that next episode of Intanon?
I think we're going to talk about how spicy things get.
You want to talk about the escuela? The school for you non-Spanish speakers?
Wow. Yeah, but what is it in Karen or Thai? Exactly.
Great question.
Good thing we were at the school, you guys.
We learned...
Here, we're going to teach you guys Spanish.
Yeah. We probably could have taught him more in Spanish than in English. That's what we should have done.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, yes, we have more to talk about. Our time at the school, and even I think we're going to talk about, well, what else do you want to talk about before I say what?
Tune in and find out, babes.
All right, we're going to talk about some things. We're going to spill some tea.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We really appreciate it. You taking the time to check us out. So let's talk soon. Let's have some tea.
Let's talk soon. Let's
Yeah.
have some tea.
Yeah, crumpets.
Okay.
I'm talking to Sarah. Sarah,
okay,
can we
Sarah,
have some tea
shout
and
out.
crumpets?
Okay. No. The joke is, now that we've been to Bend,
Now do we have to call it bent?
Jordan, that's such a sweet message. I just listened to it like 5 billion times, and it's good. I am here in Bend, and we're a little tipsy, and it's all good. And I watched like a billion people walk outside, and it's all good.